Hello, and welcome to Rose City, the After Show, the podcast where we dive into the world of the popular novel Rose City by author Corenna Khieu. In each episode, we will be discussing a different aspect of the book, from the complex characters to the intricate plot twists and everything in between. Make sure to check out Rose City on Kindle Vella to stay up to date as we explore unique perspectives and insights on the story. So this topic is, who is she, Frank? Answer me. There's a lot going on here. Kyrie, what were your thoughts coming into this episode?
I was excited about this episode. There's a lot of action in it. But yeah, I like that whole warehouse scene, where his boys got to Frank and, where my money, man, where my money, and then finding out that that was Malia's dad was, right. I was like, okay, I see what's happening now. And I kind of feel like, why can't Chan just go about doing things, just in a gentleman way to get Malia? Now he's going to rope her dad into, making sure that they end up together. It's so manipulative, why can't she just genuinely have this relationship where they are both falling for each other, having this moment in time, because now all these strings are being put into place and it's just like, the corruption.
It wasn't needed.
I'm excited for the story, but I'm like, dang it.
Right. So the part that Kyrie is talking about is we are now at chapter 10, and Malia and Chan were getting, a little cozy in the car, and he got a phone call and he had to leave. So he goes somewhere to a warehouse on the waterfront, and one of his men were saying to him that they had to call him because there was somebody there who they'd been kind of like looking for. He borrowed some money for something and didn't repay it. And so Chan is like, why you didn't call Russell? Let him handle those types of things. I can't be involved in these types of things anymore. And that's actually one of the questions too that came up. And in that, he comes inside and he's mad. He's realizing as well, wait a minute, I didn't even get her phone number. Like, with all of this rushing off, I didn't get her phone number. I don't know what her condo number is. So now I'm gonna have to do some recon on that. So this is a man in there who has been beaten up pretty bad at this point. And you don't play with people and their money. You just don't. So at this point, he's talking to the man and he finds that this man has a picture of Malia on his phone. And he's like, well, who is she? Who is she to you? Like, why do you know her? And then he's like, that's my daughter. So after Chan initially was just like, I'm going to kill you. And then I'm going to get your family too. He was like, oh, okay, let him down. Like, let's figure out how we can work this situation for my favor. It might be nice having your father on my side, So again, I think just like Kyrie was saying, it wasn't necessary. I feel like there was already such a strong bond. There was already such a strong vibe between the two of them. Roping her father into the situation wasn't necessary. But I do feel like somebody like Chan, who is very obsessed with power and control, this to him was just another avenue. This to him was just like, oh, the icing on the cake, So her father borrowed this money, did not pay this money back, and now there's a problem. And this is where things get juicy. Already been getting juicy, but this is where it kind of just takes on a whole new level of just salivation, This man is now wanting to blackmail your father. I just don't even know, how do you deal with that? But again, this is Rose City. This is a place where people are just living in some alternate world of fantasy where they are playing two characters at the same time. We are now seeing every little bit of Chan's mafia persona coming out up until this point, which we haven't really seen him but a couple chapters. He's been very nice, he's been intelligent, very sweet. Now we're starting to see a sadistic killer coming out. He's over there grabbing knives and taking off his suit coat he was ready for that action. You know what I mean? So it's downhill from here. Basically, it's just gonna get even more and more. But that intertwining of him and Malia having these dreams, what were the odds of that? And then her father borrowing money, getting mixed up in these people in their world, You know, like how does something so crazy happen? You ready for the questions?
No, I am.
All right, let's get with it.
All right. Our first question is from Byron from Newark, New Jersey. The book talks about Malia is starting to change. What has happened that led her to being so different? I mean, have you been reading the story or have you been reading the story? Like, come on now.
Right.
I mean, it's just right there. Like, and I think Malia would be a fool not to change. You know what I'm saying? To just continuously go through the same thing and you just, gonna go right back into it again is just naive. And I mean, you're just asking to have more issues if you don't wise up, if you don't say, okay, what's going on here? Why are these things continuously happening to me? How can I change things? How can I become better? You know what I'm saying? Because I'm sick of going through this junk. So,
Right. I definitely agree. I think that Leah is taking a real turn. She's really changing, but I don't necessarily think that it's negative. I know last week there was a lot of talk about her being a bit reckless, getting in cars with people, you know, drinking more than she should, and wanting to have maybe a one night stand. Well, what she revealed to her homegirl Wendy in this chapter was that even Wendy herself was really like, you were gonna have a one night stand with this man, and Malia was like, no, it wasn't gonna be a one night stand. This was gonna be an action. We was gonna repeat over and over and over. Like she was ready. You know what I'm saying? And I couldn't even be mad at her for that. I think that when you have been in like a vacuum sealed bag your entire life, where essentially everybody else made decisions for you, everybody's made choices for you. She's finally coming into a place where she's like, why am I allowing everybody else to have a say about me? Why am I allowing everybody else to tell me what I can and cannot do? Why am I coloring within the lines that they've set for me? Let me go out and figure out like what life really looks like. Sometimes you need to live through your own experiences. It's nice to share other people's experiences and use those experiences like as a lesson. But sometimes you need to make some mistakes. Sometimes you need to bump your head. Sometimes you need to know for yourself, you know? So I just feel like her changing is actually it's a very positive thing. It means that she's really starting to want to connect to who am I? And that's really scary when you've been controlled by so many people, when you have been afraid to live life because, well, if I do this, then they're going to say I'm a bad girl. And if I do this, then I'm a thought. And if I do this, you know, all these things. And you start to realize I'm not even living for me. Haven't been living for me. I don't have a single thought of my own. You know, I got people telling me what music to listen to, how to do my hair, how to do my makeup. Oh, don't wear makeup. I got people telling me how to wear my clothes. I remember, and I know that you could probably even relate to this too, Kyrie, like getting dressed and going to church, getting dressed and going out, and having to think about what Mother so-and-so is going to say and what Deacon da-da-da-da is going to say. And this person, literally, I started to just dress myself to appease everybody else. That's not life. I think that Malia is really starting to wake up to, oh my God, my life is not my own. And if I don't do something about it, then I'm going to lose it. So that's my take on that.
Yeah. And really, you know, I know for me anyway, you just get tired of having to put on that mask, you know,
Yep.
and it just, I've never like not being a genuine person. So whenever I started doing things to please other people and I started recognizing that, it comes off as fake, you know, and just bad taste in your mouth. And I'm just like, I'm not this person, because even if I'm being acceptable to them, like, who am I to myself? I'm not respecting myself at the end of the day. And I'm like, you've been walking around here being fake all day and you're at home feeling empty because you haven't fulfilled yourself. Like, you know, it's just a terrible, you know, thing to get into. So once you start
very terrible.
Once you start recognizing it, definitely start working on those things, because at the end of the day, it's just going to be you and you.
It is. Yeah. And you're right. I would do that too. You know, it was like an imposter syndrome, you know, and I would go home and I'd be like, let me turn my Tupac on. You know what I'm saying? Or be like, you know, or like, I just felt like I should be able to be like, yeah, me and my girlfriend. Yeah. I was in there. Yeah. Like, if that makes you think that I'm a terrible person because I listen to Gucci Mane or I listen to Tupac, okay, well then, I mean, you know, that's fine if that's what you think. But ultimately, your thought process about who I am, that doesn't control me. That doesn't pay any bills over here. That's not opening up any doors.
And
so
honestly,
I think
it's not my business.
Right. And it's like, why do you even care?
Right.
You know, so I think that's what's happening here. She's just coming into herself, and some people might see it as reckless or crazy. I think we've all done some things that might be considered a little reckless or even crazy. So I think that when we're looking at these chapters and we're taking it piece by piece, it's easy to be like horrified by things that people say or do. But it's like, this is raw. This is being really exposed. You know, it's not like you're getting secondhand information. You're seeing it for yourself. So it might feel a little bit different. I have the next question. It's actually Jennifer from Jacksonville, Florida says, it seems like everyone knew Mike was coming home, but Malia, how did she miss that? Do you think her family and friends kept that information from her because they feared it would upset her? Well, what were your thoughts about that?
I think it was a little bit of both. I feel like her family is kind of split on how they're approaching Malia. You know, a few of them, maybe her sisters or, you know, certain people, but maybe they didn't tell her because of that. They didn't want to hurt her. They didn't want to alarm her, you know? And then the other side, I feel like, you know, maybe her mom was a little happy that he was coming home. She get another shot at that man, you know? And who knows if her grandma knew, because she probably would have felt, you know, the same way, just given, you know, Malia thinking that she has to perform for them.
Right.
You know, so 50-50.
Oh, I fully agree. I definitely think that everybody knew. At one point, there was a conversation that Malia had with her friend Wendy. And Wendy was like, well, Malia was like, girl, you will never guess who was there. You know, so Malia's given her like the whole recap. You know, she calls her, she's telling her about the club. She's telling her about how Erica behaved. She's telling her about this new guy named Chance she met. And she's like, you're never going to guess who's there. And she's like, who? And she's like, Mike. And she's like, oh, yeah, I know that. Like, she knows he was going to be there, but she knew he was back in town. And then Malia really felt some kind of way because she was like, why didn't you tell me he was coming back? Like, who else knew this and didn't say? And she was like, everybody knew. Like, she's not, it was like common knowledge. Like, it even made the newspaper. Like, I guess he was like the youngest district attorney, you know? And so it was like, he was kind of like, you know, creating some waves and stuff. And he was like, oh, he's coming home after, you know, being in Northern California, working for this prestigious law firm. And now he's going to bring all those gifts and talents back here to the Rose City and help fight crime or something, I guess. So, you know, it was like a news write-up and everybody, you know, knew about it. But I think in Wendy's defense, Mike is a trigger for Malia. And when somebody's a trigger for you, I'm not going to call you and be like, oh, so how's that one guy doing? You know, that's not how most friends talk to each other. You know, why would I tell you that he's coming back home? And, you know, so I get the fact that she didn't know. I get the fact that nobody even brought it up to her because they might have figured she knew and maybe just wasn't speaking on it. You know what I'm saying? Because she's like moving on with her life, not trying to, you know, dwell on him. So that's how I took it.
I know if that happened to me though, you would have been calling me up like, sis, you gonna be okay? Like we're gonna talk about this because we got to check on each other. So that's another, like I felt like Wendy was in the wrong for not even saying, sis, I know he's coming home. How are you feeling about this? Like, let's talk about it. Because she knows that Malia is gonna go into herself. She's gonna shut down. She's gonna overthink everything. You know, and that's why people, we got to start being better friends to each other, even for those hard conversations. Right. It's fine if you don't want to talk about it, but still put it out there, you know, saying, hey, I know this is going on. If you like to talk about it, I'm here, you know, but come on now, that's hard. I would be like, hurry up. Right. Something.
You know, I think because of like where me, you and Alicia are, that would have been discussed like off the rip.
Oh,
like
yeah,
it would have never been like, oh, he caught me slipping at the club. Like, no, he didn't. No. Because it would have already been discussed. You know what I mean? But I have had friendships with people where it wasn't as deep. I mean, to be honest, I have never really had friendships I mean, I've had friendships with other people, and I'm not saying like they haven't been like good friendships or whatever. But like the way that me, you, and Alicia are, like I haven't had friendships like that deep. You know what I mean? Like we're ridiculously deep. We'll call each other and be knowing, like, girl, guess what? Like I already felt that in my spirit. So we're very, very connected. We definitely would have had that conversation with other people who I've been like friendly with. I probably wouldn't have said anything to them because people are just so toxic nowadays. Like you could call somebody to check. I've had this happen where I've called people to check in on them. Like, hey, are you doing okay with that situation? And later on, it gets back to me. And it's like, I feel like you're rubbing that situation in my face.
Crazy.
That's not at all what I was just trying to do. What I would want somebody to do for me, and that is check up on your girl, like see if I'm okay, you know. And I've had to kind of back away a little bit from being like overly compassionate, overly concerned. I always would say like outsiders because you guys are you know family to me. So sometimes for some people it comes across as you're being nosy, you're digging into things, and I wouldn't see that with you guys, but some people do. And some people see it as like, oh yeah, you were just trying to stir the pot, or you were trying to get my reaction. I'm like, I really wasn't, but okay, got it.
True. Our next question comes from Zoe from Albuquerque, New Mexico. She says, Malia seems depressed in a number of ways. She uses alcohol as a way to cope. Has she always been this way? Do you think she needs help? Okay, Zoe, like pipe down. I hope you're having a great day, but you need to get off my girl's back. And whoever else out there is on this junk with Malia, get off my girl's back. And first of all, she does not use alcohol to cope. Like, because she had a sip of wine? Like, come on. And she's going through a stressful time. I don't feel like she's even teetering on the edge of alcoholism right now, okay? So I need you to pipe down. I need you to get off my girl's back, and I need you to buy her another bottle, okay? Because she deserves it, because she's going through a lot of stuff.
Honey, Kyrie don't play nothing about when it comes to Malia. She's like, no, Malia's the homie. She ain't real, but she the homie though, for real, most deaf. I kind of got where like Zoe was saying a little bit. Like it does seem like Malia's down. She, like especially like if you go back to the chapter 1. I felt bad for her. She seemed really depressed and really, really sad. And I'm like, as things start to unfold more, you'll start to see maybe why she's been that way, like why there's been that depression, you know. And you guys haven't gotten a chance to see, you know, Sandy in all of her glory. You haven't had a chance to see Nana Giselle. These characters are coming, and when they come, you're gonna be like, yeah, if my mother acted like that, if my grandmother was riding my back the way they talk to you, yeah, I'd be a little depressed too. So I think Malia definitely had a lot to drink at the night of the club opening. And I think she has been having to drink a little bit, you know, to kind of, you know, ease and relax a little bit. I don't think she's an alcoholic at this point. I don't think she will be. I hope not. I just feel like sometimes people just need something as a way of like, help me to relax. And I know for like me, alcohol is very, very relaxing. If I'm having any trouble sleeping, if I grab a glass of alcohol, I'm out. Like just wine, I'm done. Because I'm such a lightweight. I don't really do alcohol that much. I'd be like getting glassy eyed. Like even when we were doing like the Valentine's Day thing, and I think I had like 2 glasses of wine. I was trying to pull it together. I'm like, stay present, Corenna. Because at any moment I knew I could just lay out, you know. So I think that Malia is looking for some ways to cope with feeling like, you know, depressed about her store and life, and having this dream guy who seems so unattainable. You know, dreams are beautiful, but dreams can also become like nightmares. Could you imagine every day, you know, dreaming that you're a multimillionaire and to be homeless in a tent living on the streets of Portland? Like, why do I keep dreaming that I live in a high rise? Why do I keep dreaming that my life is different and every day I'm having this dream? Like one dream's like, oh, that was such a nice dream, you know, but to consistently have this dream every day, it would start to feel like, what's going on? Like, this is kind of, this is really strange. Like, you know, it doesn't feel like something that I can just daydream about anymore. It almost feels like I'm being taunted. It almost feels like I'm being tormented by what I can't have. And so I think the dreams were nice, but I also feel like the dreams had kind of gotten to a point where they really started to make her doubt herself. The dream started to make her, even when she was in the presence of other men, she felt like she still just wanted to go home and get in bed. She wanted to go back to sleep. Like, that's crazy, you know? And I'm not saying crazy like as she needs medication crazy. Just the situation is like wild, you know, that you're enjoying your dream life more than you're enjoying being present in the moment. And that says that there is something deeper going on where she's looking for an escape. So I'm not mad at her for needing a little bit of extra wine. I'm not mad at her for turning up on some of that champagne at the club opening, because from what it seems like, she's a little bit of a workaholic and she needs that from time to time. So I'm okay with her.
Yeah, and like you were saying, like, you know, she's been through so much. And I feel like I'm probably a little bit more passionate because I'm a little further on in the story. So I don't know where you are, Zoe, but keep reading and then you won't be trying to pass this to drink too, okay? Because I mean, freaking being left 2 weeks, you know, and then your fiance is marrying somebody else. I mean, line up the tequila shots, okay? Like, come on, like, but anyways, I digress.
No, and I mean, I think that's a really important, you know, thing to say, that when you keep just dealing with one thing after another, and if we also go back to chapter 1, there was a closing out of something that she had been doing. She had been working with these girls. Dance is a passion of hers, and then that program was coming to an end, and she had said that, like, you know, those girls were kind of like a highlight of like moments for her, you know, and just it gave her something fun to do, something, you know, somewhere to go to where you could just be genuine, laugh and joke. And, you know, that was one of the things about, like, I do miss about being with the kids at the schools, like in the middle schools, because when I would be there with them, I mean, they are hilarious. Like, they are so funny. And they want to show you their new dance moves. They want to teach you 1, 2, you know, or they want advice about the future. And they're so hopeful, you know, and you're talking to these kids and you're like, I remember there's one girl named Lacey, and I'm like, Lacey, you stay on this, you know, on the straight and narrow track. You have everything in you to be a wonderful business owner. You know, I was like, keep that light in your eyes. Like, there was something so wonderful and innocent about her. And I hope that the world doesn't beat it out of her, you know, to be honest. But there was just, she just had such strong hope, honor roll student, you know what I mean? Like, just a really good kid. And when you're around innocence, when you're around that type of energy and you're able to like speak life into them, they're just so receptive. They're so excited. And so that came to an end for her as well. So these, like, even though these girls might've felt like they were getting something from like a big sister figure from Malia was also getting a lot of joy from being with them as well. So, you know, I think that she's been through a lot. And I think that she hasn't necessarily analyzed all of this trauma, all of her feelings, you know. For a lot of us, it's just, you keep moving. You don't have time to take another L. You know, who got time for that? Like, you just keep moving, you keep moving, you keep moving. And then sometimes life forces you to stop. Sometimes things become so overwhelming to the point where it knocks you down and you can't do anything but lay there and figure out how to pick up the pieces now because you've gone so far, you know? So like I said, I sympathize with her. And again, I depending on where you are in the story, you know, we have gone quite deep into it. So we know like what's happening and what's to come. And so, I'm glad we can finally say this now, actually. I'm glad we can actually kind of say that a little bit about this, you know, the whole money thing, and this is all tied together. Malia's father, you know, getting this loan and her money coming up missing, and her dad kind of like, it was her dad. So, you know, we've been dancing around this thing, like not wanting to say it, but now we're in a place where it's like, that's what happened. So the third store couldn't be open because this money was taken. So not only did her father take money from her accounts that she needed to do things, he also borrowed money from the triad and didn't pay them back. And he didn't know what he was quite doing all the way, but he knew he was borrowing money from some bad people. So that's a level of hurt and embarrassment and disappointment when your own parent can hurt you like that. So It's a lot to go through.